Hello and welcome to Skeindeer Knits. My name is Ellie and I am a Norwegian living and knitting in London. And you can find me on Instagram as Skeindeer, and I am Skeindeer Knits as a designer on Ravelry. And Skeindeer Knits is also the name of my Ravelry group, which is the best place to take part in the knit-alongs and getting help with patterns, taking part in the Skeindeer Knits community, what have you. Just getting the latest news and talk to other people who watch this podcast and such. I'm just gonna open this video by saying that my neighbours are turning their flat inside out and it is very audible, and it's just what it is. I just thought I'd explain that up front in case you were wondering, why is Ellie being so rude and not opening the door when it's knocking constantly all the time, every second of every day? It's because they are hammering. So that's what's happening here. If you're new here, you may not know what any of this stuff is. This is my knitting podcast. Some may call it a knitting talk show. I talk about knitting here for about an hour every week, although it's been a lot less frequent lately. But I pop out sometimes, and show you what I've been working on and stuff. And to returning viewers, welcome back. It's good to have you back here. I'm going to do a quick run through of the knit-alongs that I'm running, and then I'm going to show you patterns that I have released, knitting patterns, and stuff I've been knitting. So first of all, of course, there's a Cyber Mitten Club. I am running that until, well, the last pair comes out on the 1st of January, so you obviously want to have a month to knit that, but I thought I'd keep it open until the end of February. And as of right now, 4 out of 5 patterns have come out, so I thought I would show you the latest pattern. Also, by the way, if anyone's wondering why the setup is different, it's because it's a different time of day. So the place I'm normally sat when I record is just covered in sun. There was just no way I could work with that. It would be hilarious, but no. So the new mitten design is overdik. This is what they look like. I really like them. They are very, very classic, and they are made in finer yarn than what we have used before. So this is the previous designs that have come out in the club. We had the first rather chunky, sort of chunky to Aran Speedy Spunny. So they are quick knits, and then we had Sildra and Kongro. These are both sort of more DK weight mittens, give or take gauge. Obviously we don't really use yarn weights in Norway, so I am kind of giving you an estimate. If you want them more windproof, go for thicker yarn. If you want them lighter, go for thinner yarn, basically. So that's what we have here, and then we have overdik. So by comparison with these sort of thicker yarns, ranging from chunky to DK, this is using kind of sport to fingering weight, and it's still fairly quick to knit because, I mean, traditionally in Serbia, this sort of yarn would be knit so tight you would need a lot of stitches, and they would take a while to make. And these are, as I was trying to say earlier, kind of the sweet spot between that kind of quick and, quickly off the needles kind of mittens, and they're very tight knit, impressive looking ones. So that's overdik. This is what they look like here. You can see the palm side. I really gone for very classic elements of the mittens this year. We got the striped gusset. That's my favorite kind of way of doing it. The striped ribbed cuff, that is sort of arguably gender neutral, although I'm known to rebel against the gender norms of Cyber Mitten cuffs, which I've talked about before. And also that sort of grid palm pattern, which kind of serves the dual role of keeping your floats short on this side, but also apparently keeping evil at bay, so I've been told. So that's pretty good, overdik. So they are available for members of the Cyber Mitten Club, and I keep saying it's never too late to join. So whenever I get a question like, but I'm not part of the club, I'm like, yeah, but there's only one way to do that. So yeah, these are all exclusive club mittens. They obviously, as I cover different weights, different styles, kind of picking up different traditional patterns in Cyber Mitten tradition and trying to put them onto maybe quicker mittens, or this is a sort of famous spider pattern that I've zoomed in to make fit a DK mitten, and the sort of more classic Cyber Star in different formats. The yarn I used, I'm always, you know, happy for people to substitute yarns, but I chose to work with Ullcentrum, which is a Swedish yarn I wanted to try for so long because it feels lovely. Like, this yarn is fairly soft, but otherwise, and still very comparable to Finul and yarns like that. So that's a yarn I bought from Midwinter Yarns back in 2016, and it's about time I cast it on, and it seemed just perfect for these mittens. I will say the dark yarn was quite thick and thin, whereas the white was very, very consistent. So that was interesting. So you can see there are some blips here. There's like a little thicker here. Some parts was very thin again, but overall you really can't tell. So if you ever happen to work with a yarn like that, it doesn't really show on the end product, and I actually quite like it because, well, traditionally Serbian mittens were made in hand-spun yarn, and they do often come out a bit thick and thin. They're not industrial yarn, they're not as consistent, and so it's just adding to that really authentic look that I've been going for this year, albeit, you know, still trying to make them a little bit more impatient friendly, shall we say. So yeah, so far this is the club. Oh my god, they are really, they're quite many now, so it's a bit hard to hold up and show you all, but hopefully you get the idea. So I feel like my winter bed sheet is not really adding to my color scheme aesthetic this episode, but it's the warmer bed sheets, so I'm not changing that for the podcast. So anyway, I am also running the year-long Mittelong of 2019. That will end at the end of the month because it's been running for the whole year, and yeah, I think it might be the last time I'm running it. It's been going for 2 years now, and it's been a lot of fun. I really enjoy doing it, and it's sort of a knit along where any mittens go as long as the colour work, and you do 6 pairs. So basically 1 mitten a month the whole year is on average. Obviously you can knit all 6 at the end of the year if you want that. Like, there's no, you know, time frame or anything as such. But yeah, I think maybe I keep finding myself just running like 5 knit-alongs at a time. It's getting a bit ridiculous. That's mostly why I'm thinking maybe not running that knit-along again and come up with a different annual knit-along perhaps. So, but yeah, that's a knit-along that's coming to an end, as is the Kosakofta knit-along, where we are making the Kosakofta pattern of mine. The big, you know, cardigan, the colour cardigan to have right here. This is the sleeve. It's so big, it's like getting a hug. I didn't plan this. This is just here, and it's big. And I always have it draped over my chair so I can always just wear it, because it's like a hug. It's just, it's like a hug. Anyway, so that has been running since I released the pattern in March. So that will also come to an end. So hopefully, you know, there's going to be more room for different knit-alongs then. Now 3 knit-alongs should be more than enough, but I did actually start a knit-along a couple of days ago. I caved in, and it's all you guys' fault. I caved in and decided to do a mystery knit-along. Indeed. So I don't really have much to show you in order to talk about that, but yeah, lots of people have asked me, like I've lost count of how many people asked me, are you going to do another mystery knit-along this year? I'm sure you didn't sound like that. I'm sorry. Being rude. And I was like, oh my days, you guys are right. It's that time of year, isn't it? And I usually run them at the end of November so that you have them ready for Christmas, right? Or whatever you do this time of year. It's not super important, really. So thanks for the reminder that that is what we do this time of year. And I was like, I can't really answer that question until I know if I have a good design or not. I'm not gonna... It would be a very bad idea if I started a mystery knit-along and I was like, oh okay, I'm gonna design something then, it's fine, just give me a minute. So I didn't know until last minute that I had the design ready and I was happy with it. I knew it, you know, worked, that I could announce and say, yes, there will be a mystery knit-along. And at that moment I was like, I really can't wait any longer. We have to start it now, because it's December in a few days. Obviously now we were well into December. So apologies for the very last minute hassle with that. just use scrap yarn you have at home. I'm pretty sure at this rate most of you probably have the yarns I've been pushing for the past 3 years anyway. So that's why I've chosen to use similar types of yarns that we've used in the past. So if you've got a little bit of Finul, Ask Tove, Whole Super Soft, Tricky Wool Fingering, Spindrift, 2-ply Jump Away, you know, the Jameson yarns, Navia Duo, any of that stuff, Knit Picks Palette, what have you, you know. Fingering to sport weight yarn, fine, woolly wools, good for colour work, you do you, basically. That will work. I'm using Finul, and yeah, so that's kicked off. The first clue is already out. That's basically just a cuff. Second clue comes out on the 5th of December. I have a feeling this podcast episode might just come out after that, so in which case we will have come a bit further along in the mitten. What I want to say for anyone who's considering, I'm going to take part, oh, I don't know, do I like this kind of motif? How do I know? I'm going to say if you like the motifs of the last 2 years, you will like this year's. So I don't want to really say much about the motif, but I'm just going to, I have intentionally said that these are the whimsical sister mittens of last year's mittens, and that's very much true. So if you are like, I'm not sure about last year, no, I don't want that kind of, then you're probably not going to like this year's. They are kind of intentionally made to be, yeah, like a twin mitten, if you will. They are like a different take. Like, I felt like last year's was a different take of the first year, but this is perhaps even closer to last year than the last year was to the first year. That's all I'm gonna say. Use high contrasting yarn. I'm gonna say use also the chart to hint to which color should be the darker one and the lighter one, but choose the colors you want. Just go for high contrast. I put a lot of detail into these charts, so if it's a low contrast, I may look very nice when you're looking at the two skeins, but you want it to show up nicely. And I don't believe in the whole look at the yarns in the grayscale photo that you take with your phone. I don't know why I did that voice. My approach to this issue of contrast is basically looking at the skeins and go, when in doubt, higher contrast. So just go with that, I think. So that's the knit alongs that are happening. I am very sorry that I'm all over the place, that things are coming out last minute, but at least they're coming out. Same thing goes for Vlogmas. I wasn't going to do Vlogmas. I told everyone I wasn't going to do Vlogmas. And then I got this, you know, fancy schmancy camera that I love more than anything. And I took it for a walk and I was like, it looks very nice. So even if it wasn't Vlogmas, I would be like just filming stuff just because it looks so nice, everything I film. Even though I don't know how to use the settings and it's kind of looking a little bit amateurish, I like it. So I gave in, and Vlogmas is happening. I do want to emphasize on here now that if you are not really interested in my life, rude, if you're only here for the knitting podcast, I'm not going to put anything on the vlog, on the Vlogmas, that you would feel like you would have to keep up with Vlogmas to know, whereas you would normally get it on the podcast. I'm not going to do that. If you're only here for the podcast, that will still be part of the podcast. Vlogmas is just a day-to-day life kind of thing, so I don't want anyone to like torture their way through it if that's not their thing. It's just for people who want to get into that feeling this time of year, whatever you do this time of year. So that's basically what's happening there. I am pre-recording quite a few of the videos, cheating a bit this year because otherwise it just wouldn't happen at all. I hope you can live with that, and maybe, you know, next year life will be easier and I can actually do it a little bit like I've done previously in maybe even new locations. We can only hope. 8 years in London, that's a lot. Anyway, I am getting off topic. I have new patterns. Yes, again, plural. Why? Why do I do this? One of the patterns I actually should have mentioned last time because it was already announced. I've talked about it on Instagram and you should be able to view it on Ravelry. It's a very simple worsted weight top-down yoke sweater called Losna. Losna is the name of the lake where around there my maternal granddad side of the family comes from. So I just thought that would be a nice name for it, basically. It doesn't really have much to do with the place. It's a little bit of a tradition in Norway to just name colourwork sweaters after places that have nothing to do with the styles. I'm very sorry if you're from Losna and you feel like that's a bit rude. I'm inclined to agree, but it does hold a very special place to... It's special to me, that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, so basically a very simple top-down yoke that I got published in the final issue of Vlogmas, which I wish I had here to show you, but it has not arrived. So yeah, 10th and last. I'm really sad that they are no longer going to continue making the magazine. I have made sure to tell them that I would very much like them to continue once they're done doing what they're doing right now. Probably not going to happen, but I try. Okay, don't say I'm not doing my part. I am so annoying. I have a pattern in there. It's called Losna. Like I said, it's a sweater, and unfortunately the magazine in print is only going to be available for pre-orders. I do believe you can buy it digitally on Ravelry, but it might just be available in Norwegian, in which case you will have to translate or wait until I get the rights back for Ravelry publication, in which case it will come out in both languages. That's all I have to say about that. I hope you like it. Let me know. So that's one pattern that has come out. And of course I already showed you overdik. I've told you about julaften. So what is the last pattern? It's a fourth pattern. Did I say 3? There will be a 4th. I am wearing it. It is out on the Ravelry. I should stop trying to be cool. But I have a very cool yoke on me. So this is up for grabs, basically. I put that up on Ravelry because I managed to get a pretty festive looking photo shoot, and yes, maybe that is a mistake and people are only going to buy it 1 month out of the whole year, and that's not a good business plan, but I've never been known to think very strategically, so here it is. Everyone, Nordbakken. I nearly forgot the name. That's how many patterns I'm releasing this year. I'm forgetting what I'm calling them. Oh dear. So that's not a good height, really. Okay, let's see if we can do it. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay, what? Stop saying okay. What can we say about this? It is worked top down, has 1 steek in the front. Yes, you heard me right. 1, not 5, not 3, 1. Restraint, I know. So basically the thought behind this yoke that I started back in April, 1st of April I think I cast it on. It's not a joke. Oh my god. I am so... my sense of humour today needs attention. Anyway, I have published a lot of patterns this year, and they have been simple ones, and there have been ones where I have done a little bit extra, a bit of something new and novel and construction wise, and you get to play around a bit and try something that you may not have tried before. And I thought, that's all good and fun, but let's just publish one yoked cardigan with no faff. Just a simple stockinette yoke for people who may want to try steeking, maybe for the first time, and you don't want to have all the other stuff to deal with. This is basically it. It is as simple as it looks. You will have to do short rows for the neckline, color work obviously, and the steek, which you can see here is kind of on the inside. It does not really add much bulk, take up too much space, nothing like that. It's alright. Yeah, it's kind of hard to know what to say about Nordbakken because I just haven't done much extra faff. Like I said, I've really just thought, how do I do a top-down colorwork yoke? Like, what's my default when I want to do it? And that's kind of what I've tried to make. So yeah, it's just a very simple fit. It's not too loose, it's not too tight. Doesn't have shaping, though it has definitely, you know, and it allows for you to shape if that's something that you enjoy doing. If you've done it before, you already know how it's done. That will be very, very simple, but it doesn't have it. Obviously length, I've gone a bit longer than usual, but you can do it longer, you can do it shorter. It is very accommodating for different lengths, just depending on what you want to do. It does have a pretty wide spectrum of sizes, and what else is there to say really? I am honestly not sure. I'm just very pleased with it. Like I said, like if I'm just gonna think how would I do a top down colorwork yoke, this is how it would be done. It's very very much me. It's got, you know, my colors. Obviously I could not resist this yarn when I went to Edinburgh Yarn Festival this year, and I saw that Ravark had dyed up their sport weight yarn into basically one of my favorite shades of red. It's sort of like red towards raspberry, and I had to of course go with a matching lipstick. In fact, I tried to get it photographed today. So I went down to Leadenhall Market, which you may know as the market that inspired a portion of Diagon Alley. I know that's mostly this, I think, Victoria Street in Edinburgh, but also Leadenhall Market on this side of London, which is a fairly short walk away from my home. And so I just walked down there with my camera and this new cardigan, and I thought I'll get some good photos there. I'm sure it's going to be a bit crowded, but you know, I'll just make do. My new camera blurs the background, so big deal, right? Tourists are so annoying, but you know who's more annoying? People from the office are coming out and gonna take really funny office photos for the Christmas cards this year, and decide to do it right behind my camera. Right in front of my camera, I should say. Like I'm clearly standing there, camera facing there, and they just like looking at me and just whatever, we're gonna do photos here. So that's the thing. I just gave them like proper like bitchy stare. They didn't really care. Second, I got like these other two girls who were basically on the same mission that I was, and decided to do it also right in front of my camera. London. But at least I don't have to feel awkward about doing what I do, because so many people do the same stuff, and you will see weirder stuff in London. Like on my way back, I saw a guy walking a wire. I am quite literal here. He was holding a wire that was like bent forward, and it was just, yeah, he was walking the wire. Big wire, just stiff things, yeah. So at least I can do these things in public and it doesn't look too weird, but yeah, it's also a bit annoying sometimes. So, but I got some good photos, and that's why I'm with confidence saying while recording this that the pattern is out. So yeah, if you want to buy it now and support me in getting the pattern out to as many people's eyes as possible, feel free to apply the discount code below. It will give you a 20% discount, and it will only be valid for a couple of days, because I really would like to charge full price for most of the time, but in order to kind of give back to those who support me, yeah, go ahead and use that now if you want to. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this pattern. I think I have talked about it excessively now, and the sun is going down, so I better hurry up. This time of year, you guys, I'm not even sure I can be bothered to record when I'm in Norway, because it's just dark. So anyway, those are the 4 new patterns. I promise I'm gonna calm down now. I think I only have 1 more pattern to release this year, and then nothing until 2020. I think that's the promise I can keep. So what have I been knitting on since last time? Well, I'm looking at my notes. Apparently I've got 5 projects to talk to you guys about. So yeah, let me just pick up one that I'm very excited to talk about. By the way, I actually had to adjust the camera because this is weird. Like, one of my biggest excitements about the new camera is that it's going to be a lot more accommodating for different light settings. I guess one thing I haven't taken into account is that when the light itself is changing, I have to go up and change the settings on the camera. So now I put it to very bright, so hopefully during the next half hour of recording it's gonna not be too dark. Logic? I'm not sure. So it's happened! Some of you guys are like, what is that? 2 years ago, more than 2 years ago, I said that I would make a Marius. I said I was gonna make several, and then I started the knit along and I didn't actually get around to do one. So I thought I bet if I just use the Icelander pattern, which arguably should be pronounced Islander, I hadn't really thought about that. So the Islander pattern, okay, I gotta get used to that. I thought, I bet I can just like do that method, cast them with red yarn, and then just do version A, the one without the short rows, and just superimpose the Marius chart on it. It's working out really well. I'm just using, yeah, version A of Icelander. And so the chart, I mean, the chart is something you technically have to purchase via like Sunless Patterns, but it's not very hard to Google. Personally, I haven't done that because I know it by heart, because I have knitted so many Marius things throughout the years. I actually don't need to look at charts, which is a little bit concerning, but at least I, you know, that's a skill I can brag about. And honestly, I am getting such a kick out of knitting this thing. There's something about this, just the bright, happy colours here. I can't put my fingers on it. It's something, as soon as I was like on with both the red and the blue and the white, I was just, yes, yes, I am back in my comfort zone. Not that I've ever been out of it, but it's definitely a very comforting comfort zone. I know this thing, like this is my bread and butter. And I'm also getting such a kick out of it because of the yarn. I'm like, I just keep stroking it and I'm just like, this is perfect. It's just perfect. I just love this yarn with this gauge, with this pattern, with it. Just, seriously, it's so satisfying. I can't even explain it. So I am using Hillesvåg Ask, which I have a lot of yarn of, colours of. Yeah, I basically have a bunch of sweater quantities on cones, on hanks, caked up yarn. I love Ask, and then Vilja got launched, which is considerably softer and a tad bit lighter, and I thought, why do I have all this Ask? Why did I buy all those sweater quantities? Now there's Vilja, it's all about Vilja. No. Vilja is amazing. It's my desert island yarn, quite possibly, at least if they expand the colour range even more. But Ask is amazing, because Ask, oh my god. I'm gonna get up and show you guys a close-up because, oh, look at that. It is just perfect. It looks, I mean, it looks like it's been blocked. This may be more to do with the fact that I am so comfortable with this pattern. I'm tensioning it pretty much perfectly on the get-go. I'm gonna brag about that, so if you can't deal with me patting myself on the back, then I'm sorry, but I'm nailing this. So I'm nearly done with the chart. I only have the bottom zigzag bit left. I hate the leaf blower guys so much. I could strangle him. Anyway, we don't endorse violence on here. So let me show you the cakes, because just, oh, it's just so gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. I just love this yarn. Have I said I love this yarn? It's perfect. It's just perfect. So anyway, I'm gonna sit down, try to calm down, and not get high on my own knitting project. But I am really loving this, even though I keep dropping stitches. So yeah, so let me start from the beginning. There aren't really any top-down Marius patterns. There are a lot of Marius patterns out there, and they're all by Sunless, and they're all bottom-up. And I find it quite frustrating that they haven't thought to do anything top down in terms of these traditional patterns. And honestly, Sunless, if you ever want anyone to, I don't know, modernize Marius a bit, do a bit of a, you know, take on it that's more down with the kids and stuff, all that top downness, call me. Because I can't publish this as a pattern, in case anyone of you guys were wondering if this is going to be a pattern. Hell no. No, that's a big legal kerfuffle I'm not even touching. So no, this is just for me, just for my enjoyment. Yeah, it's a kind of, it's a very complicated situation, but at the end of the day, it means that Sunless are the only one who can and will publish patterns in the Marius thing. I did talk about the history behind that a lot before. I might do it again if anyone's interested. It does involve a little bit of research, because I think before I just told you the story from memory, and it was accurate, but it was maybe not as balanced as it could have been. yeah, anyway, food for thought. Maybe when I run out of content, but I certainly am not running out of content today because there are more projects to show you guys. I'm in this sort of naive belief that I can finish 2 garments I have going to a friend of mine and to my sister. So I have shown you this sweater before. Basically, I got a lot of really nice yarn from Hobium Yarns. They sent me this yarn called Lamia Natural Wool that comes in different shades of brown, all the way from white to a fairly sort of chocolatey brown. And it's really nice, really soft and incredibly affordable. It's a sort of DK worsted way. I'm gonna say worsted. Yeah. And I had that yarn, and then I found a number of Brooklyn tweed patterns, and I showed my friend back in Norway. I assume he would like a sort of Brooklyn tweed style thing, and I just showed him the options and I showed him the yarn and said, if you could choose one of these sweaters in that yarn, would you have it? Which one would you want? And he chose the one with the most cables. Why did I even give him options? So this is what's happening there. It looks quite small. I mean, he isn't big by no means. He's quite tall, but it stretches out. Like, this is cables with a lot of knits and purls, so this is actually quite big once you stretch it out. I am positive it will have a lot of positive ease. Ha ha ha. You came here for the dad jokes, right? Pretty sure you did. So let's close up. Yeah, so I counted based on the photo that Jared Flood himself is wearing, I believe. I counted 8 repeats of the chart up until the armhole, the underarm. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm on the 5th. 5 out of 8. I did say 8, right? Oh, sorry, I just had Pepsi. It's bubbles. Classy here on the Skeindeer Knits podcast. Yeah, so 5 out of 8 complete. And it's funny because, like, I feel like it took me 3 seasons of charm to get up to this marker here. And this bit has gone fairly quickly, so I guess I'm getting into the flow of things. So I just keep knitting it, and yes, I have modified it to be in the round. I have already done the sleeves. And then I looked at photos of people who have already knitted it, and I was like, that's reverse stockinette. Have I done it wrong? And then I just turned the sleeves inside out, and it's fine. Like, just turn it inside out. I just knitted the whole thing. No purling except the cuff. So that's all good. It wasn't a problem, but I got a bit scared for a minute there. So that's the Oster cardigan. Oster for him specifically. I'm not sure how for him and for her versions are different, but yeah, anyway, patterned by Michelle Wong, you know, Queen of Cables, at least one of the Queen of Cables that we have. I feel like Nora Gorn is also Queen of Cables. And some other people I probably forgot. I probably shouldn't declare one. It's like several. Anyway, so that's what's happening here. Maybe I'll finish, maybe not, but it's certainly a motivation now that Christmas is looming. So there's that. And I'm enjoying it, and I will actually say, I think what has sped me up when it comes to this sweater is I printed out the chart into just a separate piece of paper that I could bring with me, and it was quite hard to follow. So I took a pencil, just a regular pencil, and lightly shaded out the purl, the wrong side rows, which obviously I'm doing in the round, so they're just like the alternating rounds when you don't do cables. I just like shade them just a little bit darker. Already that made it easier to see. And then the cable symbols, when some of the stitches at the back of those cables turn into purl stitches, I just shaded out those sections as opposed to symbolize the back where the stitch comes out the back. Made them quite dark, and I will just immediately look at that and see, yeah, that's a purl stitch. So I don't have to think so much, because that wasn't super clear in the chart, and maybe you're not supposed to do it, but it's supposed to be a purl stitched on the next round, so I thought, yeah, it will look nice. So a lot of things like that has really helped me read the chart a lot more efficiently, and just using my pencil to highlight rows and yeah, the cable symbols and stuff. So I can recommend doing things like that to make it easier to read. It's not a very long chart, so I don't need any like masking tapes and stuff like that. It's fine. So the other thing that I am working on to try to finish by Christmas is a cardigan I promised to make for my sister, and I cast it on also quite early this year, you know, thinking that will get me started quickly. Try and dig it out here. I have made considerable progress on this. I used to just have it, you know, up to here, and now I've actually done the whole body all the way to the shoulder bind off. I have cut open the steek for the neckline, which I put in. It is not part of the Amelia pattern that I've used by Elin Berglund, I think. So we've got some steeks on the inside of the neck here that I've just tacked down. Same thing with the back of the neck. I added a teeny tiny steek, so that's in here as well. So that allowed me to work in the round, and it's just so much easier to keep track of your rounds that way and make sure you're doing the same number for the front and back when you steek. And also it's quite good if you hate purling like me. But even if you don't mind, it makes it a lot easier to just make the two fronts and the back the same row number. They completely add up. It certainly does for me. So I don't have to think so much, basically. So yeah, I have put on the neckline that I picked up and knitted. I have picked up and knitted for the button bands with buttonholes, the whole thing. I've just been very efficient with this. And I have put in the crochet reinforcement. I don't like to call it that, but anyway, I have done that for the steek, so I can just cut that open whenever I want to. I just haven't done it yet because it's actually, this is a lot more manageable to knit sleeves from whilst it's closed. So I'm just going to do that later. But I have a lot to say about the sleeves because I looked at the pattern and the schematics and I calculated a bit myself and found that the sleeves are very snug. And that's not really for me. So I thought I want to do basically the Elizabeth Dorothy sleeves that I have done in the past on her design. Basically I knitted her sans serif, I think, for my grandma. And I have done it and I'm really pleased with the shoulder cap. It looks really good, it's well shaped, but I got the stitch count and everything from a sport weight pattern that has a slightly looser gauge. I thought adding in 4 extra stitches, which just happened when I picked up 4 stitches here, that should just be right for this gauge and have the same measurements as that pattern I'm taking that sleeve from. I think that's the Underwood pattern by hers. That's the one I'm getting the stitch count from. It does look a bit wide. Yeah, I mean, I'm holding it completely flat now, so obviously it's going to look very, but when I have it on the circulars and they're just hanging down, actually they just look very comfortable. They don't look super wide. I think they will fit really well. And often you have to go with a bit of extra width just under the arm because you start decreasing so rapidly. You're not going to want it to be super tight once you're just down here. So I think it will be okay. But I also want it to be a comfortable fit. I do think this is going to have a little bit of positive ease on my sister. It should have no ease on the bust after I measured her, but I'm just going by looking at her and not trusting my measuring skills. I actually think this is going to be quite of a relaxed fit on her. I haven't tried it on obviously because I haven't cut open the armhole yet, but I think this could also fit me, and I am larger than my sister. So yeah, I think we're good, but I may just have like subconsciously made the sleeves to fit me because I've come to find myself preferring looser and looser sleeves. Yet I knit them just my size anyway. I don't know. Every time I think I'm gonna go looser and it's still just right. So maybe this is also going to be just right, you know. It would be very strange that I'm finally getting a bigger sleeve when it's not for me. I think it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, I do really like this pattern. The chart repeat up the front is very memorizable. I do really enjoy it. It's mirrored, which I think is a really neat detail. So they kind of point in opposite directions. It was very easy to modify for steeks. I did have to change a little bit of the decrease rates of the underarm and the neckline and such, because you obviously can't take out more than 1 stitch at a time when you have a steek, because you can only decrease by knit 2 together or SSK. You can't do a bind off as such. So you can do it for the first round when you're just like doing the whole front here, but once you're shaping you can't do that. So I made it work, and that's what's happening here. I do still have a bit of a gripe with the fact that this cropped length cardigan still came with waist shaping, because why would you have this shape if it's from waist up? But I did it anyway. I don't know why I just didn't take it out and cast on the stitch count at the waist measure here, but if my sister hates it, I'll just cut out this bit with a bit of steeking. It may or may not work. I may just be ruining the cardigan. Time will tell. But it may actually not look particularly visible even once she's wearing it, and it might actually just accentuate just the underbust. Maybe. So I'll just do as I'm told, even though I haven't done that much for this pattern, because the more satin sleeves I knit, the more opinionated I am about them, the more I want to go my own way. Ooh. I have a whole tale of woe about that. Not a tale of woe exactly, but I've been obsessed with the idea of knitting Kornaks by the lovely Vilde of Lille Lille. I'm going to show you again. I've showed it before. It's lovely. It's beautiful. It's only Norwegian, unfortunately. I did actually cast it on. I did about this much. But I can't do it because there's so many things I want to do differently. Then I just have to rethink the whole thing. And I'm like, well, why am I not just following the pattern? I'm not even going to put in sticks. Why can't I just follow it? How hard is it, Ellie? What? No. So this is a problem. You find a perfectly good pattern, you just still like, oh, but I could do this. This is a different thing. I like to do that way, and it doesn't work. Because you got to think about when it's top down, like how it will all add up to the front pattern in the end. So we'll see what I do about that. So basically I know too much. That's my problem. So if you don't design garments, maybe you just want to stay naive. It's a good place to be. I have two things to show you now. One I cast on yesterday because I want to take part in a Christmas mystery as well. And there's a lot of mystery mittens happening this year. It seems to be all the rage. And so I decided to go with, you know, where it all started really. And that is Tori Seierstad. Tori designed the Christmas mystery mittens that I took part in, I think in 2016. So back when this podcast was spanking new. And I really enjoyed it. It's just a really nice mitten design. I really enjoyed doing the mystery. We got one clue per day the whole of Advent there, which is here I think is different. You get it every so often. And I just wanted to take part and go full circle back to, you know, the woman who started it. So I have cast on clue 1. I've done the first cuff, basically. They're going to be made the same way. And I'm going to show you now. So if you don't want to be spoiled for clue 1 of Tori Seierstad, Kul Jul, the Christmas mystery, look away, because I'm going to show you. So this is that. Oh, look at the sun. See, this is why we can't sit where we normally sit. So I have clearly, gone for 2 small needles here. I should have known, but I didn't. So I've gone for pretty wacky colours as well. This bit here is very tight. I feel like maybe I should have gone up just a quarter needle size even. It's very snug, but it does sit really well. So if I put it on, you can see how it sits really well actually. So I'm not at all worried, but I do notice when I see other people's project photos, it's like my cuff looks like it's just half the height of everyone else's. So clearly someone's knitting a bit tight, but I haven't knitted as much as I am supposed to. I'm just clearly just knitting very, very tiny. So I just keep doing that. So basically this bottom here is supposed to be the main colour for the hand, and the little stripe here is supposed to be the contrast for the hand. So those are the 2 colours we will be seeing the most. So I am putting this away now in case anyone who wanted to not see it want to see me again. Hi. So that's the mystery that I am taking part of. Yeah, mystery mittens are fun. So I hope you guys are enjoying my mystery mittens. I am certainly enjoying Tori's, and yeah. So one more project that I should have shown you, talking, wow. I should have shown you this 2 episodes ago. I'm not going to even try to pretend that I'm doing this weekly anymore. Which is a pair of mittens that I cast on when I was in the Lake District at Susan Crawford's knitting retreat, because that was part of the course, was to knit her mittens, and I just forgot to mention it twice. But she's actually put the pattern up now, and it's very much, you know, kind of up my alley and stuff. And so I have knitted it in her yarn that she distributed to us at the retreat. I finished it fairly quickly, and here it is. So I made this whole thing at the retreat, and I completely forgot to mention on the podcast, but there you go. They're called the Thwaite mittens. I'm going to call them the Thwaite mittens because that's actually the origin of the word, the Norwegian word Thwaite. So, how? They fit really well. I do think they will fit just a little bit better once I blocked it. The mittens Susan made actually fit me really well, so I'm kind of hoping these will fit as well. The colour scheme is not quite me, it's more Susan, so I might make these into a Christmas gift for a friend if I can finish the other, which I have started the cuff. Oh my god, I thought I got way longer. I really thought I'd completed the cuff, but I guess not. But I did this one really quickly. It's a very quick knit. It's kind of inspired by both Norwegian mittens, Sarbe mittens, and also when Sarbe mittens met the Shetlands, kind of in the World War II era and the decades following that, from people who had left Norway during the war to stay in Shetland and kind of brought, you know, knitwear from home that they were wearing, and it kind of just merged and became part of the more recent Shetland knitting tradition. So this is kind of mirroring that, and obviously echoing a little bit of the stuff that Susan's done with her vintage Shetland project, which I'm pointing at the books now, but for once you actually can't see them in the background. What you can see is my advent lights and my Christmas plant, and I've got a lot of Christmas stuff around. I'm just really trying to make myself feel festive and get in the mood, because I really wasn't this year, and it's kind of weird because I do start to feel like Christmas when it's like just getting dark in the end of September, and this year I had none of that, so I'm kind of just like going for it with the lights and little red hooded bearded dolls everywhere, and yeah, it's gonna happen. It's gonna be nice, I think. We hope. So now I'm just really just babbling. I don't have much else to show you. I have still been very good at not purchasing any yarn, she says, pretending like Hillesvåg did not have a Black Friday sale at all. You guys know I was gonna buy a sweater quantity of each of the new colors of Vilja, right? Because that's basically what I got. That was my plan to go buy when I would go to Norway for Christmas. And so I thought, you know what, free shipping and 30% off for something I'm already going to buy, I think I might just. So that's going to be waiting for me when I come home to my mum. What else? Yes, this is important, which I also forgot to mention last time. I'm very sorry about that. I did put it in the comments below because apparently I can't put annotations on videos anymore, unless I don't know how YouTube works, which is quite likely. I just want to thank you so much for purchasing, if you did, I mean, thanks anyway, if you purchased the Speedy Snow Mitten collection that I launched last time, because what I didn't mention here, but I put in the comments below and I put on Instagram, is that 20% of the revenue for that collection, instead of doing the usual 20% off promotion code that I've done in the past, that I usually do to kind of give back to people who help me get patterns out, I decided to just price the whole collection fairly low and give 20% of that revenue to my local homeless charity. Because it was Black Friday, and I just thought, you know, we all have different opinions about it. In one way, you know, Black Friday can be great for low-income families to actually afford Christmas presents, and that's amazing. But on the other hand, it's a very kind of consumerist and adding to waste and stuff kind of day, you know, pros and cons. And I guess with my business, what I want to do instead of just saying sale is to give away. So instead of doing the usual 20% sale, if you will, I donated 20%. So yeah, that went really well. Thank you so much. We donated before I say anything, usually, you know, you have to subtract what PayPal charges you and a little bit that Ravelry charges you to know what you actually made of patterns. So it's not actually the sum that you charge on Ravelry, and not even to mention all the VAT that you have to subtract. I didn't do any of that. So I just found out what 20% of the whole purchase thing was and donated that to the Whitechapel mission. And it was £460. Thank you. I haven't really talked much about this on the podcast because I haven't really wanted to just make it sound like it's my problem, because it's not. But the rise of homelessness in London is staggering. Like, it's just, you can't miss it if you live in London. If you live anywhere, zone 1 and 2 in particular, you will see people who have lost their homes everywhere. And honestly, if you're going to give a non-condescending amount to every person who asks, you will actually struggle to make ends meet yourself. There's just so many. And I could go on a long rant about who I think are responsible in charge, and how just, you know, we should look better after our fellow humans and such. I wanted to help in a way that works, and the best way I found is to give to one of the best charities in London for homelessness. So yeah, I'm basically just really grateful that you have helped me out with that. Hopefully we're gonna make at least a couple of people's lives easier. So yeah, thank you. The sun is properly setting, so I think I'm gonna wrap things up now. Thank you for watching here. Thanks for watching Vlogmas, and stay tuned for more nonsense next time I'm back. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.